All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we are tackling a massive topic, one of the biggest economic shifts happening right now, the AI wealth gap.
So, what if I told you that the biggest, most rapid shift in wealth in, well, maybe all of modern history isn't something that's on the horizon, not something we need to get ready for in the future?
Yeah, it's already here. It's happening right now, all around us. And this isn't your classic story of the rich versus the poor. No, this is different. It's actually creating entirely new classes of people in the economy. And this, right here, this is the new dividing line. It's a gap between the people who own the AI, the new engines of production, and, well, everyone else, whose jobs have to compete with what that AI can do.
Okay, so let's dive into our first section, the new economic engine. How should we even be thinking about what AI really is in this whole equation? I think this quote just nails it. We have to stop thinking about AI as just another piece of software. Economically, it's a totally new kind of labor. It's a workforce that is on 24/7, it's infinitely scalable, and it never complains. And whoever owns that labor, well, they have some serious, unprecedented power.
And look, this is a pattern we've seen before, right? The Industrial Revolution made factory owners incredibly wealthy. The Internet Revolution did the same for the people who built the big platforms. And now, the AI revolution is funneling massive rewards to those who own the new key ingredients: processing power, or compute, and of course, data.
So let's get into our second section here and look closer at the great AI divide. Who exactly are we talking about in these two new groups?
So on one side, you have the AI owners. This is pretty straightforward. The big tech giants, the VCs funding everything, the top-tier engineers actually building these models, and the investors who own all the physical stuff, like the data centers. And then, on the other side, you have the AI competing workers. These are a lot of our knowledge workers, people whose daily tasks are things that AI is getting really, really good at.
And this is where things get kind of weird. It's a paradox. If you're one of these workers, using AI tools can make you way more productive. But when everyone in your field gets that same superpower, the total amount of work that can be produced, the supply of it, just explodes. And basic economics tells us that when supply skyrockets, the price, which is your salary, usually feels a whole lot of downward pressure.
Okay, so that brings us to section 3, why this gap explodes. What is it about this technology that's making this shift so much faster and more dramatic than anything we've seen before?
It really comes down to one fundamental difference: scalability. See, humans, we don't scale well. If you want to double your output, you pretty much have to double your people, your office space, everything. But AI, once you built a great model, you can copy it a million times for almost nothing. It scales instantly and globally. It's infinite.
And you can see the result pretty clearly on this chart. In a normal company, paying people is a huge chunk of your costs, and it comes right out of your potential profit. But in a business that's powered by AI, you can get the same or even way more output with just a tiny fraction of the human labor cost. And that money, it doesn't just vanish. It goes straight to the bottom line, massively concentrating wealth with the owners.
All right, let's zoom out now in section 4 and take a look at the global ripple effect. What does all of this mean for society as a whole?
You know, this whole thing is being driven by something economists call the capital effect. It's this long-running trend where technology shifts economic rewards away from people who sell their time, their labor, and toward people who own the stuff, the capital, like machines or software. AI isn't a new trend, but man, it is like pouring gasoline on that fire. It is the great accelerator. So this acceleration is causing 3 big things to happen. First, you get wage polarization, where the absolute top AI engineers make fortunes, while many mid-level workers get squeezed. Second, you see the rise of an ownership economy, where what really matters isn't your salary, but whether you have equity in these companies. And third, you get this immense pressure on governments to step in and do something. And that pressure is absolutely building. We're already seeing very serious conversations about big ideas like universal basic income, or UBI, to create a financial safety net. And at the same time, people are talking about new ways to tax AI-driven profits and even heavily regulate how the tech is used. This leads us right into our next section, 3 possible futures. Because the path from here isn't written in stone. We could end up in a few very, very different places.
Okay, scenario 1. This is the path of massive concentration. You've got a handful of giant companies that control the best AI, they capture virtually all of the profits, And that wealth gap we've been talking about just becomes a massive chasm.
But then there's scenario 2, a much more optimistic vision: distributed ownership. This is a future where powerful open-source AI models are available to everyone. It lets smaller companies and even individuals build their own tools and their own leverage, creating a much more vibrant and competitive landscape.
And finally, scenario 3 is all about heavy government intervention. In this future, governments get worried about things falling apart, so they step in hard. We're talking heavy regulation, new tax laws, and big redistribution programs, all designed to make sure society stays stable.
And all of that brings us to our final section, which I think really gets to the core of this entire conversation: the ownership question.
You know, for years now, the entire conversation about AI has been stuck on one question: is AI going to take my job? But you know what? That might just be the wrong question altogether. It's missing the forest for the trees.
The real question, the one that truly matters, is this: who owns the systems? Because in every single economic revolution, wealth has always flowed to the people who own the new tools of production. It was true with steam engines, it was true with software, and it's definitely true with AI.
So at the end of the day, that leaves us all with a pretty profound and personal question. The AI wealth gap isn't a prediction. It's the new landscape we're living in. And the only question left for each of us is, in this new economy, are you going to spend your life competing against this infinitely scalable new form of labor? Or are you going to find a way to own a piece of it?